I never thought my life would change because of a text message. But there I was, sitting in my car at a red light, smiling at my phone like an idiot. Two pink lines on a pregnancy test, the photo I was about to show Travis. After 3 years of trying, we'd finally done it. My name is Sarah, and that moment of pure joy was the last one I'd have for a very long time. I remember everything about those few seconds. The way the afternoon sun hit my dashboard. The faint smell of the air freshener Travis always teased me about. The song playing on the radio, some pop hit about forever love that I used to roll my eyes at but suddenly felt perfect. The light turned green. I pulled forward, already imagining Travis's face when I showed him the picture. He'd been dropping hints about wanting kids since our wedding day, and his mother Irene had been not so subtly asking about grandchildren at every family dinner. I never saw the truck coming. The impact came from my left side, a violent explosion of metal and glass. The world spun and time seemed to stretch like taffy. I remember thinking absurdly that I needed to protect my phone so Travis could see the picture. When everything stopped moving, I couldn't feel my face. Warm liquid dripped down my neck, and somewhere far away, people were screaming. A man's voice kept saying, oh God, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." The words floated around me like leaves in the wind. "Ma'am, can you hear me? Don't move." A paramedic's face appeared in what was left of my driver's side window. "We're going to get you out." I tried to speak to tell them about the baby, but my mouth wouldn't work right. The last thing I remember before passing out was someone holding my hand and promising everything would be okay. They lied. I woke up 3 days later in the hospital. Travis was there, asleep in a chair beside my bed. He looked terrible, unshaven, clothes wrinkled, dark circles under his eyes. I tried to reach for him, but my arms felt like they were made of lead. "Travis!" My voice came out as a whisper. He jerked awake, his eyes finding mine. For a split second, something flickered across his face, something that made my stomach twist. But then he smiled, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Hey, beautiful," he said, taking my hand. "You had us worried." I tried to smile back, but my face felt wrong. Stiff. Like it belonged to someone else. "The baby," I managed to say. "Is..." Travis's hand tightened on mine. "I'm so sorry, Sarah." His voice cracked. "The doctors did everything they could." I closed my eyes, feeling the world tilt beneath me. Through the fog of pain medication, I heard the door open and recognized Irene's perfume before she spoke. "Travis, honey, the doctor needs to speak with you." Her voice was soft, careful. "About the reconstruction options." "I'll be right back," Travis said, squeezing my hand before letting go. I kept my eyes closed, pretending to drift off. But I heard them in the hallway, their voices carrying through the partially open door. "She's going to need extensive surgery," Travis was saying. Her face. "Mom, I don't know if I can." "Shoo, darling. We'll figure it out. One step at a time." I lay there, tears sliding silently down my ruined face, as my husband and his mother discussed my future like I was a problem to be solved. In that moment, something inside me shifted. Something hard and cold took root where warmth and hope used to live. I didn't know it then, but that was the moment my old life ended. The moment Sarah Blake, loving wife, hopeful mother-to-be, eternal optimist, began to fade away. And something else, something stronger and darker, began to take her place. Coming home from the hospital felt like walking into someone else's life. Everything looked the same. Our modern suburban house with its perfectly manicured lawn. The welcome mat Travis's mother gave us as a housewarming gift, even the faint smell of Travis's cologne in the entryway. But nothing felt right anymore. "I've set up the guest bedroom downstairs," Travis said, carrying my bag. The doctor said stairs might be difficult for a while. I noticed he wouldn't look directly at me. 3 weeks in the hospital and he still couldn't meet my eyes. "Thanks," I managed, touching the bandages that covered half my face. "I've invited Mom over for dinner," he added quickly. "She wants to help with your recovery plan." Course she did. Irene Blake never missed an opportunity to manage a crisis, especially one that threatened her son's perfect life. The guest room felt sterile, like a hotel suite. Travis had cleared out all my personal items from our bedroom upstairs, arranging them with mechanical precision. My makeup vanity, a cruel joke now, sat in the corner, mirror turned to face the wall. "Do you need anything?" Travis hovered in the doorway, phone in hand. "I have a few work calls to make, but I'm fine." I wasn't, but what was the point in saying otherwise? Irene arrived precisely at 6, armed with casseroles and opinions. I sat at our dining room table, watching her arrange flowers in a vase while Travis poured wine. "The doctors say the scarring might improve with time," Travis was saying, not looking at either of us. "Well, there are always options," Irene replied, her voice dripping with forced optimism. "I know an excellent plastic surgeon in the city." Very discreet. I pushed my untouched food around my plate. "The insurance won't cover cosmetic procedures." "Oh, darling." Irene reached across the table, patting my hand. "We have to think about Travis's position at the firm. Image is everything in corporate marketing." My fork clattered against the plate. "My face is an image problem?" "Mother," Travis warned, but Irene continued. "I'm just being practical. Travis has worked so hard to build his career. And now, with the complications from the accident." She delicately dabbed her lips with a napkin. "Well, sometimes life forces us to make difficult choices." Complications? The word felt like acid in my mouth. "You mean losing the baby?" Travis's wine glass froze halfway to his lips. We hadn't discussed the pregnancy since the hospital. I hadn't told him I was planning to surprise him that day. "Sarah," he started, but I cut him off. "Did you tell her about the baby, Travis? Or just about your wife's ruined face?" Irene's perfectly manicured hand flew to her throat. "A baby? Oh, Travis." "It doesn't matter now," Travis said quickly, standing up. "What matters is moving forward. Mother's right, we need to think practically." I looked between them, my husband who couldn't meet my eyes and his mother who couldn't stop staring at my bandages. Perfect son and his perfect mother planning my perfect rehabilitation. "I think I need to lie down," I said, pushing away from the table. "Of course, dear," Irene called after me. "We'll figure everything out." In the guest room, I could hear their muffled voices through the wall. "Poor thing," Irene was saying. "But Travis, you're still young. There will be other chances for children once everything is settled." "Mom, please." "I'm just saying, you need to think about your future. Both of your futures." I touched the bandages on my face, feeling the rough texture of gauze where smooth skin used to be. In our wedding photos, Travis used to say I looked like an angel. Now he couldn't even look at me. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Mrs. Blake, my name is Graham Foster. I'm the father of the young man who caused your accident. Please, I need to speak with you." I stared at the message, my fingers hovering over the screen. Through the wall, I could still hear Travis and his mother planning my future without me. Something shifted in my chest, not quite hope, but something closer to purpose. I typed back a single word. "When?" I found Travis's whiskey bottle hidden behind the cleaning supplies under the kitchen sink. 3 weeks after I'd come home and already half empty. I might not have noticed if I hadn't heard him stumbling around at 3 in the morning, talking on his phone in what he thought was a whisper. The bandages had come off yesterday. I avoided mirrors now, but I couldn't avoid overhearing Travis's late-night conversations. "You should have seen the client's face today," he slurred to someone. "Like that movie, you know? Two-Face from Batman." A pause followed by drunken laughter. I know. I shouldn't joke. But man, you try living with it." I stood in the darkness of our kitchen, holding his hidden bottle, and felt something inside me crack. The next morning, Travis acted like nothing had happened, kissing my cheek, the unscarred side, before leaving for work. Big presentation today, he said, adjusting his tie. Don't wait up. I waited until his car pulled away before going upstairs to our bedroom. I hadn't been up here since coming home, respecting Travis's unspoken wish to keep me out of sight in the guest room. Everything was exactly as I'd left it the morning of the accident, except for one thing. My old art supplies were missing from the closet. I found them in the garage, buried under Christmas decorations. The wooden box still had my name carved into it, a wedding gift from my grandmother. Inside, my brushes lay untouched, along with the expensive oils Travis had bought me when I'd mentioned wanting to take up painting again. You should focus on more practical things, Irene had said back then. Travis needs a wife, not an artist. I set up the easel in the guest room, facing the window. The morning light fell across my canvas as I mixed colors, muscle memory taking over. Red for anger, black for grief, yellow for the hope I used to feel. The brush moved almost on its own, creating something both beautiful and terrible. Hours passed. The front door opened and closed. Travis's footsteps paused outside my door. Sera? Mother's here for dinner. I didn't answer, adding another streak of red to the canvas. The door opened. Sarah, what are you? Travis stopped mid-sentence. What is that supposed to be? I stepped back from the painting, a woman's face, split down the middle. One side perfect and pristine, the other distorted and fractured, with a wine glass pressed to smiling lips. It's you, Irene's voice came from behind him. Or rather, what you've become. I call it two-face, I said quietly, watching Travis's face pale. Funny, right? I don't understand, he stammered, but his eyes gave him away. Don't you? I heard you last night, Travis. And the night before. And the night before that. Irene stepped between us. Now, Sarah, Travis has been under tremendous stress. If you just try to understand. Understand what? I turned to face them fully, watching them flinch. That my husband makes jokes about my scars? That he hides bottles around the house? That he can't even sleep in the same room as me anymore? That's not fair, Travis protested. I'm trying. To what? Keep up appearances? I gestured to the painting. Is this appearance better? Perhaps, Irene said stiffly. This emotional outburst is a sign you need professional help. I laughed, and the sound made them both step back. Professional help? Like that plastic surgeon you keep mentioning? The one who can fix Travis's image problem. Sarah, please! Travis reached for me, but I moved away. Don't worry, I said, picking up my brush again. I'm working on fixing everything. They left the room, whispering urgently to each other. I turned back to my canvas, adding the final touch, a text message floating in the background. Tomorrow at 2. I'll explain everything. Graham Foster. I stepped back, studying my work. In the painting, both sides of the face were smiling, but for very different reasons. Tomorrow, I'd meet the father of the man who destroyed my face. Tomorrow, everything would change. But tonight, I had more painting to do. Cafe Graham Foster chose was exactly what I expected. Quiet, expensive, far from anywhere Travis or Irene might go. I wore a scarf wrapped partially around my face, drawing less attention than the medical mask I'd gotten used to wearing in public. Graham stood when I approached his table, and I immediately recognized the guilt in his eyes. I'd seen it in the mirror often enough lately, that look of someone haunted by what they couldn't change. Mrs. Blake, he said softly. Thank you for coming. Sarah, I corrected, sitting down. Your son, is he? In rehab. Graham's hands tightened around his coffee cup. Again. The accident happened after he left his third facility. I should have seen it coming. A waitress approached, hesitated when she saw my scarf, then plastered on a professional smile. I ordered black coffee, waiting until she left before speaking. Why did you want to meet? Graham pulled out a folder, sliding it across the table. These are brochures from the top reconstructive surgeons in the country. I've already spoken with Dr. Chen in New York. He's willing to take your case. I stared at the glossy pages, at the before and after photos of smiling patients. Insurance denied. I'm not offering insurance. Graham's voice cracked. I'm offering to pay for everything. It's the least I can do after what my son. Why? The word came out sharper than I intended. Because I failed him, Graham said simply. And in failing him, I failed you too. The money can't fix everything, but it can fix this. He gestured vaguely toward my face. I opened the brochure, studying Dr. Chen's credentials. Cost listed made my stomach clench, more than Travis made in a year. Your husband doesn't know you're here, Graham said. It wasn't a question. No. Good. He leaned forward. Because there's something else you should know. The night of the accident, my son wasn't alone in the car. My coffee arrived. I wrapped my hands around the hot cup, waiting. There was a woman with him. Someone's wife. Graham's voice was heavy with meaning. They'd been meeting at the Golden Leaf Hotel every Thursday for months. The Golden Leaf, where Travis had his weekly client meetings. The woman survived, Graham continued. No injuries. She left the scene before the police arrived. My son was too drunk to remember her name, but he remembered where she worked. He slid another paper across the table. Blake Marketing Associates. Coffee turned to acid in my stomach. You're lying. I wish I was. For both our sakes. Graham pulled out his phone, showing me a security camera image. A woman hurrying through a hotel lobby, followed by a familiar figure in a gray suit. Travis. Why are you showing me this? My voice sounded distant, even to myself. Because you deserve to know the whole truth. And because I'm offering you a choice. Graham tapped the brochures. Dr. Chen can do the surgery next month. He can make you look exactly like you did before. Or he can make you look like someone else entirely. Someone Travis and his friend wouldn't recognize. I thought about Travis's late-night phone calls, his cruel jokes, his inability to look at me. I thought about Irene's constant hints about divorce and fresh starts. Why would I want that? Graham's smile was sad but understanding. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't confrontation. It's making them live with their guilt while you become someone new. Someone stronger. I touched my scarf, feeling the rough texture of the scars beneath. When does Dr. Chen need an answer? Take your time. Graham stood, leaving a business card beside the brochures. But remember, this isn't just about fixing what was broken. It's about choosing who you want to become. I sat there long after he left, staring at the security camera photo, at Travis's familiar profile next to an unfamiliar woman. Finally, I pulled out my phone and typed a message to Graham. I choose someone new. His reply came instantly. Welcome to your second chance, Sarah. I walked home slowly, planning what to pack, what to leave behind, and how to disappear without a trace. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone else's life. It's about rebuilding your own. New York felt like another world. Dr. Chen's private clinic occupied the top floor of a sleek Manhattan building, all glass and chrome and discretion. I told Travis I was visiting my aunt in Ohio for a few months of emotional healing. He seemed relieved to have an excuse not to look at me. The changes will be significant, Dr. Chen said, reviewing my file, but subtle enough to maintain natural features. The goal isn't to create a new person, but to enhance who you could have been. I studied the digital mock-ups on his tablet. The woman in the after images wasn't me, but she wasn't a stranger either. She was who I might have become in another life, one where Travis's mistress hadn't been in that car. How long until I can? I trailed off, unsure how to finish. Return? Revenge? Begin again? 3 months for full recovery. Dr. Chen's eyes were kind. Graham mentioned you're staying at his apartment during the recovery period? I nodded. Graham's Manhattan pied-a-terre had become my sanctuary, filled with his late wife's art collection. He rarely used it anymore, preferring his house in Connecticut. The first surgery was scheduled for tomorrow. Tonight, I sat in Graham's apartment, watching the city lights flicker like stars. My phone buzzed. Travis. How's your aunt? His voice was slightly slurred. Thursday night. Golden Leaf Hotel night. Fine. I touched the surgical consent forms on the coffee table. How's work? Busy. Listen, Mother wants to know when you're coming home. She's worried about appearances. Course she was. I imagined them together at their weekly dinner, discussing how to manage their damaged goods. I need time, I said, the lie coming easily now. To heal. Right. Well, take care of yourself. He hung up before I could respond. My phone buzzed again, a text from Graham. Ready for tomorrow? I started to type yes, but stopped when another message appeared. An unknown number. Are you sure you want to know the truth about that night? My hand shook as I replied. Who is this? Someone who was there. Someone who knows what really happened. Meet me at Riverside Park midnight. I stared at the message, my heart pounding. Could be a trap. Or it could be her, the woman from the hotel. The smart thing would be to ignore it. To proceed with surgery with my carefully laid plans. But something in me needed to know. At 11:45, I took a cab to Riverside Park. The night was cool, the Hudson River a black ribbon under moonlight. A woman sat alone on a bench, her face hidden by a hoodie. Mrs. Blake, she said as I approached. Or should I say, the first Mrs. Blake? She pushed back her hood, revealing a face I recognized from office party photos on Travis's desk. Sarah from accounting. He wasn't supposed to be there that night, she said quietly. At the hotel. He was following me, suspicious. When he saw who I was meeting. His client, I finished, the pieces clicking into place. She laughed bitterly. The client's wife. Travis caught us together. He was drunk, angry. Started making threats about exposing everything. That's when. When what? When he called his friend, the guy who hit your car. Asked him to teach his cheating client's wife a lesson. Follow her car, scare her a little. Sarah's voice cracked. But the guy was high, confused. He followed the wrong car. Yours. The world tilted sideways. Travis. Travis arranged the accident. Not yours. He never meant. She stood up, backing away. I just thought you should know. Before you disappear. I watched her hurry away, my mind spinning. All this time, I'd been planning to become someone new to escape Travis's betrayal. But he wasn't just unfaithful. He was the reason I'd lost everything. My phone buzzed. Graham. Surgery prep starts at 6 a.m. Are you ready? I looked at my reflection in the dark window of a passing car. Tomorrow, I wouldn't just become someone new. I'd become someone Travis would never see coming. Ready, I typed back. But we need to modify the plan. 3 months after my surgery, I stood outside our house in the rain, unrecognizable. My new face, beautiful but different, felt like armor. The divorce papers in my bag felt like weapons. I'd planned this moment carefully. Thursday evening, when Travis would be home from his client meeting at the Golden Leaf. When Irene would be over for their weekly dinner, planning their perfect future without their damaged goods. He still worked. I heard their voices from the dining room as I entered, Travis and Irene discussing me. The lawyers say if she doesn't respond soon, we can proceed with abandonment charges, Irene was saying. Really, Travis, it's for the best. That accident was a blessing in disguise. I stepped into the doorway, watching them freeze mid-conversation. Hello, Travis. He stared at me blankly, then with growing confusion. I'm sorry, who? I'm Claire Foster, I said, using the name Graham and I had chosen. Graham Foster's niece. I'm here about Serafina Blake. Travis's wine glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the floor. Irene stood quickly, always ready to manage a crisis. Whatever this is about, we can discuss it privately. Can we? I placed the divorce papers on the table. Like you discussed arranging the accident that scarred your wife's face? Color drained from Travis's face. I don't know what you're talking about. Sarah from accounting does. I pulled out my phone, playing the recording from that night in the park. Travis's voice filled the room. Follow her car. Scare her a little. That's not. I never meant. Travis stumbled over his words. You never meant for it to be me? The words came out calm, controlled. Your pregnant wife instead of your client's cheating spouse? Irene gasped. Pregnant? Oh, he didn't tell you that part? I turned to her. About the grandchild you lost because your perfect son wanted to teach someone a lesson? Sera, Travis whispered, finally seeing past the new face to something familiar in my eyes. I pulled out one more document, a police report naming Travis as an accessory to the accident with Sarah's sworn statement attached. Sign the divorce papers, I said quietly. Or everyone learns what kind of man you really are. Travis lunged for the police report, but I stepped back. His foot caught the spilled wine and he crashed into the china cabinet. Crystal shattered around him as he fell. Travis! Irene rushed to help him up, but he pushed her away, blood trickling from a cut on his hand. You can't prove anything, he snarled, but his eyes were desperate. Can't I? I moved toward the door. Graham Foster's legal team would disagree. They're very interested in making amends for his son's part in this, especially now that they know who really orchestrated it. Wait, Travis called as I reached the door. Please. I'll sign. Just don't tell anyone. Like you didn't tell anyone about our baby? The words tasted like ashes. Like you didn't tell anyone about planning the accident? I loved you, he said weakly. No. I touched my transformed face. You loved what I looked like. There's a difference. I left the papers on the table and walked out into the rain. Behind me, I heard Irene's shocked sobs, Travis's desperate attempts to explain. My phone buzzed, Graham. Is it done? I couldn't answer. The victory felt hollow, like ashes in my mouth. I'd gotten what I wanted, Travis's signature on divorce papers, his perfect life crumbling around him. But standing in the rain, wearing a stranger's face, I realized revenge hadn't filled the emptiness inside me. I walked to my car, past the spot where Travis used to park, where he'd kiss me goodbye each morning. Past the garden where we'd planned to build a nursery. Past all the dreams that had died the night he chose revenge over love. Another text lit up my phone, an unknown number. You're not the only one he hurt. There are others. We should talk. I sat in my car, rain drumming on the roof, staring at the message. I'd thought exposing Travis would be the end. But maybe it was just the beginning. Question was, how much deeper into darkness was I willing to go? The art gallery buzzed with Manhattan's elite, all here to see the mysterious new artist everyone was talking about. My paintings lined the walls, faces twisted in pain and betrayal, beauty emerging from darkness. All signed with my new name, Claire Foster. I adjusted my dress, still uncomfortable in my new skin, when I saw him. Travis, standing before my centerpiece, a woman's face split between light and shadow, a wine glass reflecting flames. Remarkable work, a voice beside me said. I turned to find a man with kind eyes and paint-stained hands. I'm Eli Turner, the gallery owner. Claire, I replied, watching Travis from the corner of my eye. He was reading the painting's title, Thursday Nights at the Golden Leaf. Your pieces speak to transformation, Eli said. Pain becoming power. Very personal. Before I could respond, Travis's voice cut through the crowd. Where did you get your inspiration? He was staring at me now, recognition flickering in his eyes. 3 months since I'd left him with those divorce papers, and he'd lost weight. Perfect suit hung loose on his frame. Life experience, I said, meeting his gaze. Some people wear masks. I paint them. Sera. He whispered my real name like a prayer or a curse. Eli looked between us, sensing the tension. You know each other? No, I said firmly. Not anymore. Travis grabbed my arm. We need to talk. Let go. My voice carried across the gallery, heads turning. Everything you took from me, my reputation, my mother's respect, my position at the firm. His fingers dug into my flesh. Was revenge worth it? Was Thursday night at the Golden Leaf worth it? I pulled free. Was trying to hurt your client's wife worth what happened to me? To our baby. Eli stepped forward, protective, but I held up my hand. You want to know about inspiration, Travis? Look around. Every painting here tells a story about masks and lies. About men who destroy what they claim to love. I never meant to hit my car? No, you meant to hit someone else's. That makes it better. The gallery had gone silent, watching our drama unfold. In the corner, I spotted Graham Foster, who'd helped orchestrate this moment. Beside him stood Sarah from accounting, her face pale but determined. You're not the only one with stories to tell, I continued. Sarah's here. So are 3 other women from the office, all with similar tales about Thursday nights and threats and accidents. Travis's face went ashen. You can't prove. Actually, Graham stepped forward, we can. My son may have been driving drunk that night, but the police are very interested in who put him up to it. And why? You set this up, Travis realized, looking at the crowd of witnesses. The gallery, the paintings, all of it. No, Travis. You set this up. Years ago, when you decided other people's lives were yours to destroy. He lunged for the painting, but Eli was faster, stepping between us. Travis's fist connected with Eli's jaw instead of the canvas. Security appeared instantly, restraining Travis as he shouted about lies and betrayal. As they led him away, Irene emerged from the crowd, her perfect makeup streaked with tears. I never knew, she whispered, about any of it. The women, the accidents, the baby. Would it have mattered? She flinched at my tone, finally seeing herself in my paintings, the enabler, the keeper of masks. I'm sorry, she said, but I was already turning away. Eli touched his bruised jaw, managing a smile. Hell of an opening night. I should explain. You don't owe me explanations. He gestured to the paintings. Your art already tells the truth. The real question is, what story do you want to tell next? I looked around the gallery, at my pain transformed into beauty, at the women Travis had hurt now standing tall, at Graham's proud smile, at Eli's understanding eyes. Something new, I said finally. Something that isn't about masks or revenge. I'd like to hear that story, Eli said softly. For the first time since the accident, I felt truly seen, not for my old face or my new one, but for who I was beneath both masks. So would I replied, ready to begin again. 1 year later, I stood in my studio apartment, surrounded by half-packed boxes and new paintings. These weren't about masks or revenge anymore. They showed healing, growth, moments of unexpected joy caught in color and light. A letter from Graham sat on my desk, delivered this morning. I'd been afraid to open it, but now seemed like the time. Dear Sarah, or Claire, you'll always be both to me now. My son came home yesterday. 6 months sober. He asked about you, about the accident. I told him everything, about Travis's manipulation, about your transformation, about how your strength helped me find the courage to reconnect with him. He wants to apologize in person, but I told him that's your choice to make. Some scars need time to heal. Others teach us who we really are. Thank you for showing me that redemption isn't about erasing the past. It's about painting a better future. Graham. A knock at the door interrupted my thoughts. Eli stood there, paint-stained hands holding coffee and bagels. Ready for moving day? Almost. I gestured at the chaos. Just reading a letter from Graham. Good news. Different news. I touched my face, no longer the one I was born with, not quite the one Travis had destroyed, but entirely my own. His son wants to meet. Eli set down breakfast, giving me space to process. That's what I loved about him. He understood the power of silence. The gallery called, he said finally. They want to know if you're ready to show your new series. I looked at my latest paintings. No more darkness, no more hidden meanings. Just light breaking through clouds, hands reaching toward each other, faces emerging from shadows into dawn. I think I am. I picked up my favorite piece, a self-portrait showing all 3 versions of me, not as masks but as chapters in a longer story. But under my real name this time. Which one? Both. Serafina Claire Blake. No more hiding. He smiled, understanding what this meant. And the meeting with Graham's son? Maybe. I folded Graham's letter carefully. Some stories need proper endings. My phone buzzed, a news alert about Travis. He'd pleaded guilty to conspiracy charges, along with several counts of harassment. The other women had come forward, each with their own stories of Thursday nights and threats and accidents. Irene had testified against him. You know, Eli said, reading over my shoulder, your first show helped those women find their voice. They helped me find mine too. I closed the article. I thought revenge would heal me, but it was telling the truth that finally did it. We spent the morning packing, wrapping each painting carefully. Eli handled them like precious things, not because of their value, but because they were pieces of my journey. Near sunset, we carried the last box to his truck. My new apartment was above his gallery, a place for both art and living, he'd said. A place to begin again. Oh, he reached into his pocket. This came to the gallery yesterday. It was a small package from Irene. Inside, I found my old wedding ring and a note. I kept this when Travis threw it away. It belonged to his grandmother, but it should have been yours. Sell it, keep it, whatever brings you peace. I'm learning that's what matters most. Irene. I held the ring up to the fading light. Once it had represented everything I wanted. Now it was just a circle of metal, heavy with history but powerless to hurt me. What will you do with it? Eli asked. I smiled, an idea forming. I think I just found the centerpiece for my new show. Something about transforming old pain into new beauty. He took my hand, the one that used to wear that ring, and kissed it softly. Ready to go home? Home. Not a place to hide or seek revenge. Not a mask to wear or a role to play. Just a space to be wholly, completely myself, scars, changes, strength and all. Yes, I said, leaving the past behind one final time. I'm ready.